Hey guys, this is Mr. Duffy checking in, and I designed my course of study based on what I figured my students would need at the Academy at Old Cockrell. My math class at the Academy at Old Cockrell is a designated independent study where students work at their own pace in a computer lab, and I assist them with answering questions, modeling problems, and offering lots of encouragements. I designed this so that they could go home and they could continue working at their own pace. Um, and I used Schoology because it was familiar setup, sort of similar to Facebook. Um, a typical class of mine is about 20 students, and I tend to have more boys than girls, so I'd say maybe 12 boys to about 8 girls. And usually I'd say 40% of my students have special needs or are ELL students, so let's just say 8 of my 20 students are ELL or special needs. And many of these students have been mistreated at their original high school, and that's why they've given up on learning or given up on graduating, and that's why they come to my school. The reason that I chose to create this course of study is that it gives my students a review of what they may or may not have learned about graphical interpretation. Many of my students do not have a solid understanding of what slope is, even though this is an 8th grade standard. This lesson serves as a lead-in to the Algebra 1 coursework. Prerequisite skills and knowledge will be the ability to graph points on a coordinate plane and interpret their meaning. And the skills that are gained from this lesson lead into the concept of finding the equation of a line. So as you can see in my Schoology account, I've created an Algebra 1 Section 1 class. And the access code, which I'll be giving to all my students, is right here. And a little bit about my contact information. If they need to contact me, then they can click right here, and that will give them my cell phone, which I say I'll answer if you email me first, or you can email me and I'll reply within 24 hours or 48 hours on the weekend, or you can message me in Schoology by clicking on the envelope right here, and I put a little icon, a little picture of that right there. So I'm going to go right back, and under my Algebra 1 section, I only have one lesson. Click into here, and it's the equation of a line. Under equation of a line, I've set it up into different folders: intro and objectives, lesson with notes, Desmos graphing calculator, that's my online graphing calculator, which serves as my resource, and our discussion section, and then the assessments. Going into the introduction and objectives, you can see my learning objectives and then the lesson instructions. These are the I can statements, the objectives. I can define slope as the rate of change between any 2 points. I can determine how to find the rate of change using the graph, and I can also find the rate of change by using the slope formula. And then instructions, basically work through the lesson and create a discussion response and complete the assessments. Going back right up here to my lesson, and the intro is a short little video that they can click on here, and then they'll have to click on the title one more time right here. And I say guess on question 1 and then watch through 330. So they can click right here, and it'll take them to a little video that shows what is slope. Basically, it's a slant, and anything with a slant has a slope. So let's say the pitch of a roof or the side of a hill, it has a slope because anything that has a distance horizontal and a vertical distance is a slope, as we'll see. After they've gone through the introduction and objectives, they go to the lesson. And I made a YouTube video of the slope of a line. They can watch this. It'll pop up a new tab for them. Hey guys, it's Mr. Duffy checking in, and no need to watch that. And then the video notes will also be used in case they want to go back and look at any of the math that I actually did in the video. And this should pop up right in Schoology so they can look at it. It's loading. So they can watch the video, click back on this, and they can look at the notes that I made for them. Something that I like to use is the Desmos graphing calculator. This has many functions, and this will actually pop up right in Schoology, embedded. Takes a second. And I explain how to use Desmos graphing calculator in my video. And if I want to open it in a new tab, I just click right there. And let's just say that I want to make 2 points. I'll put in 0, 0, makes a point right there. And if I want to make another point, let's just say 2, 2. It'll make those 2 points for me. There's many other functions, but this is an interactive tool that students can use to help them work through the problems that they'll encounter. Going back to my lesson. Yes, I want to leave that page. My discussion question is a sort of assessment, and I say that slope equals rate of change. So I give an example. I say before I started working, I had $0 in my bank account. After 5 days of work, I had $250 in my bank account. If I were to plot this data on a graph, I would put the money on the y-axis because it's dependent, and the number of days on the x-axis because it's independent, and therefore I would have plotted 0, 0, and 5, 250. The slope would be equal to 50, and the students, based on my video, would be able to understand how I made that calculation using the slope formula or by using the graphing of Desmos. And I say, please describe a real-life situation in which the rate of change or slope can be calculated. Make sure to calculate the rate of change and describe the reasoning behind these calculations. So it's finding a real-life application to what we've just learned in the video and what we've seen in the introduction video. And then I have my assessments. I have 3 different assessments. I have first a game, and this is a fun lead-in to kind of test their skills. So they can click right there. And I don't think it's embedded, so they'll have to click on this title one more time. It'll open up a new tab, and they can play this game where they can figure out what is the slope. Well, I'd say pick this point right here, pick this point right here. This is -6, 0, and this is 0, 3. Our slope is going to be 1/2 right there. And they continue on. And the goal is to earn $1 million. They're starting at 0, or at at 1,000, then they get to 2,000, and so on. Kind of like the rings of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Going back into the assessments. From there, I have an assignment, slope of a line, and I used LearningPod, which has many different activities and tools based on the Common Core standards, and 10 questions that I want them to answer based on the slope of a line. What's the slope of this line? Is it -3/2, -2/3, or so forth? I'll pick that one and submit answer. That's what they'll go through. And then the last assessment is the quiz. This quiz, as usual, they'll have to click here because it wasn't embedded. And this takes them to the form that once they've submitted all of their answers, these will tell me how well they understand the questions and understand the concept. And like I said, once they would be done with this lesson, I would create a lesson based on the next section of equation of a line, which is actually finding the slope-intercept form of the line going through those points. This lesson is just part of that bigger lesson or concept, and I would create that right next to my Algebra 1 Section 1 lesson. And that is it. So thank you very much.